Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hardcore Gaming Podcast. My name is Arten Ransk. I play hardcore games, which means when I die, I stay dead. I play them on YouTube and Twitch to entertain people and hopefully make them laugh along the way, and I always play my games with only one life to live because it gives a sense of desperation and it puts more weight on you trying to complete the game instead of constantly restarting the game with multiple lives and being able to try over and over again. For the podcast, what we do is we discuss one video game that has affected the gaming market and myself when I was younger, or just, in my lifetime. So we're going to discuss one game every week and also a real-world topic. So today, what we're going to be talking about is Diablo 2. And we will include the expansion, The Lord of the Destruction. So we'll be talking about Diablo 2 and the risk of addiction. So the first thing that we need to go over is Diablo 2 itself and the importance of this game to the gaming market. So Diablo 2 comes out in June 29th of 2000. This is about 4 years after, it's about 3.5, I'd say. 3.5 to 4 years after Diablo 1. Diablo 1 being the first ARPG of its generation, well, of all time, really. I'm pretty sure, unless Gauntlet was before it. But I think Gauntlet still was different. So Diablo comes out, and it's this very dark, gothic, scary ARPG. First one of its kind. And it gets massive critical acclaim. People love it because it's so different. It's so new. Because you can run around with your character, you can level up, you can get skill points. I mean, this is where skill trees came from. Skill trees and loot, finding loot. And putting it on your character and having your character get better with stat points and, allocating stat points every single time that you leveled up from getting experience. So Diablo 1 kind of kickstarted this sort of role-playing game with stats and everything for a character that you can see in an isometric view. And then Diablo 2 comes out in 2000, about 3.5 to 4 years later. And it's really looked forward to. Everyone's anticipating this release. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people who loved the first game. So it's highly anticipated, and it releases in 2000, and it's quite popular. And people enjoy it very much when it comes out. They continued to have the gothic feeling, the very dark, very disturbing and gory, to a sense. Gory as 2000 could be. And, little sprites. But this feeling of terror and horror really permeates throughout the game. It's a very well-designed game. The character system is quite good. It expounds upon the first one, but to a better extent, where instead of finding skills in a skill book in the first one, you would choose a class, which, you'd chose in the first place, in the first one, but you'd choose a class and then you'd have your skill trees that you could go through. And you could, there would be 3 different trees, I'm pretty sure? So it would be like, if you're a sorcerer, you'd have the fire, the lightning, and the ice tree, and you could go through those different trees, and every time that you hit a certain 6-level increment, you could unlock the later skill, and you'd have to choose the first skills to move down into the later skills. So this is like a better example of how to use a skill tree wisely. And also you still get stat points, but they extended the stat points where I think you only had 3 stats in Diablo 1. Strength, vitality, intelligence? No, you had dexterity too. Ah, yes, I believe they added the energy skill, or the energy stat point in Diablo 2. I think there was only 4 in the first one, and then they added the energy stat point in Diablo 2, which would make it so you can increase your mana cap. And people, actually, the way that people would approach these stat points is they would always try to, well, not always, people would mostly try to min-max their characters, so they would put in the smallest amount of points needed in strength, because strength would give you just enough to wear gear, so people would put in just the minimum amount for strength to wear whatever endgame gear that they wanted. And then they would put almost the rest in vitality. And that's about it. Maybe dex, they'd put some in dex for their gear as well, definitely. But they would leave vitality alone. Absolutely alone. I'm sorry, they would leave no, they would not leave vitality alone. They would leave energy alone, because they found that it was just a waste of points to put points into energy. And you would actually get different stats, different amounts of points depending on what your class was. So say if you're a barbarian, you put a point into vitality. I think you'd get like 3 health points instead of, say, you're a sorcerer, you put a point into health, into vitality. I think you'd only get 1.5. Those aren't exact numbers, but they were, it was something along those lines. So you have this class system, which is expounded upon. You have this really awesome gothic feeling, and really good boss fights that are not, they're not broadcast in any way. The game allows you to create terror and fear and desperation for yourself, which is made fun of a lot in Diablo 3, because you'll be running around in the game and, you'll get a Skype call from Diablo and he'll be like, "Hey, I'm going to kill you very soon. You should be scared now." Ooh. Doesn't do this at all in Diablo 2. One of my fondest memories of Diablo 2, back when I first started playing it, I played it a lot. But the first time I got to the Act 2 end boss, which is Duriel, he's this big, nasty bug creature. You have no idea that he's going to be there. None at all. You're just going to find, you're going to the Tomb of Tal Rasha. And you go to the Tomb of Tal Rasha. After all this, fiddly farting around, you got to get the Haradra Cube. You use the staff, you open up the temple. You go inside, and then there's Duriel charging at you. You had no idea that he was coming, and then he just proceeds to absolutely ruin you because he's so hard to fight. Definitely a highlight. And also, when you're going to fight, really all the bosses are really scary because you have no idea when they're going to show up. First one's Andariel. You go downstairs into this cathedral, and you're told by Cain to kill Andariel. And you're like, okay. So you're like exploring around, and you're exploring around, and then you finally get to the 4th level of the cathedral, and your little your little quest log pops up, and it says, well, first it said, find Andariel in the cathedral. And then you finally get to level 4 of the cathedral, and then your quest log pops up and it says, kill Andariel. So you're just like, oh shit, I'm on the right level. And there's fire everywhere, and it's dark, and there's little demons running around and everything, so that's terrifying. And then you walk through a big door, and then here she comes. She doesn't fucking care. She's gonna poke you in the eye. So that's a really excellent boss fight. Duriel, I just told you about in Act 2. Act 3 is Mephisto. You're in this really scary jungle temple. And it's once again, they tell you to kill Mephisto. They didn't tell you to kill Duriel. That's kind of why I like that one more. But it says kill Mephisto because he's the brother of hatred or whatever. You gotta kill him to, whatever, extend the plot. So you go downstairs, and it shows up. Find Mephisto, kill Mephisto. You're like, oh shit! Again, big, dark, spooky temple with a bunch of like ghosts and ferocious things running around. You walk through, and then here he comes, and he's like this huge glowing cloud of bone and death, and he just starts attacking you. It's really well designed. And then Diablo is really awesome because you have to open his seals. You know that he's coming, and then once you open up the seals and the whole screen starts shaking, and you don't see him spawn. He spawns off screen, and then he just says, "Not even death can save you from me," and you're like, okay, sweet. So really, really cool bosses and fun character design if it's not limited in the effective skill builds that you could do. Really, you could maybe do like a couple builds with each character that would get you through the multiple difficulties. That's another thing that Diablo sort of introduced to the game market, was an idea of playing through the same content with higher difficulty. I think there was Nightmare and Hell mode in Diablo 1. You'll have to forgive me because I did not play through them multiple times. I only played through normal and then killed Diablo, and then I was pretty much done. Diablo 2, though, had normal difficulty. You'd play all the way through, you'd kill all the bosses, and there is an Act 5 boss as well I did not mention. That was Baal. He's quite a bitch, too. Not as cool as Duriel or Diablo showing up. So you'd play through normal, you'd kill all the bosses, and then it'd say, okay, now you're a champion or whatever. Now you can play through on Nightmare. So everything would start to get harder. Everything would hit harder, everything would take more damage. And then they started to introduce immunities. And this is the one thing that I did not like about Diablo 2. They had immunities, like you'd have fire resistance, lightning resistance, cold resistance. You'd have all these different resistances to help keep you alive, poison resistance. And they would give those to the monsters as well. And the monsters, once, I think in Nightmare it would be very minor, but some of the monsters would have immunities to certain spell types. And it sucked because your character couldn't really be diverse in the types of damage that it would do. So say you're a Blizzard sorceress. Well, all you can do is cast Blizzard. That's it. You can cast Blizzard, that's your main damage spell. You might have, like, Teleport on the backside, but pretty much all you'd do is you'd run around, you'd cast Blizzard, it would kill everything, you'd move on. I never really saw anything where it'd be like, you know, you'd cast an Ice Bolt and a Blizzard for like different single target and boss damage. Or I'm sorry, single target and AoE damage. It was pretty much one skill does everything. So the design there is not fantastic, but it's still a game that's really fun because you're building your character and you're saying, this is my character. It is the same as everyone else's, you know, everyone else's hammered in or frozen orb sorceress. It is the exact same as everyone else's, but this one is mine. Because you had to go through all the effort to, and I haven't even gotten to the loot system yet. That is really where the main crux of the game comes in. But you had to work so hard to finish this character and call it your own. I mean, you would be working for hours and hours and hours and grinding bosses and grinding bosses and grinding bosses just so you could have your finished character. And you would say, this is mine. And even if you didn't have your loot, this would be a powerful character. It wouldn't be as powerful as if it was, you know, geared well. But you could still run around and destroy some stuff. And this is kind of why I think Diablo 3, it's not as rewarding as Diablo 2 was, because Diablo 2, the loot system and the leveling system was very, very rewarding and very addicting. So leveling wasn't really the main crux of the game. The big race for the game was to get to level 99 the fastest because it would take so long. But in Diablo 3, you have pretty much, you get to level 70, you unlock all your skills, you can choose anything, which is, it's a different design. It's a good design. I'm not saying that it's dumb. I'm just saying that you're not as well rewarded because you just kind of get everything. Focusing on thinking of a character and going, okay, this is what I want to do. I have to plan this out well, and I'm really looking forward to when I can get level 30, because then I can finally unlock Frozen Orb, and I can use Frozen Orb. I'm not going to use anything else. I'm just going to use Frozen Orb. You know, working towards a goal is really awesome. And you'd work towards a goal in Diablo 2 with loot and skill points. And in Diablo 3, it was just kind of like, here are some extra toys that you can play with every level. maybe you'd look at what you're going to get in several levels. You'd be like, oh, I really want that spell. Well, I get it at 54. It wasn't really the same, though, because you weren't basing your character off that skill. You were just, you're fine. You don't come online and all of a sudden you're a powerful character. There's not like a huge jump in power once you hit that level. It's going to be like, well, I want Black Hole from my wizard at level 61. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm doing fine right now. I just want to have Black Hole because it's cool. Nah, it's not the same. Different design, good design, because you can then play around with, you have one wizard or one monk or anything in Diablo 3 at the end. And you can pretty much play anything, so it saves you some time from leveling up different characters, but it also takes the fun away from leveling up different characters. And they also got rid of the skill system, or the skill tree system, which is an outdated system, I would say. It's it needs improvement. Because usually you'd have asinine skills that you would put 1 point in and then never use. In Diablo 2, at least. You'd, say you're doing Frozen Orb again, you'd put like 1 point in Ice Spike. Well, honestly, you'd put multiple points in because you'd use the synergies. But you'd put like 1 point in Blizzard or whatever to work your way down to Frozen Orb. And then you'd max Frozen Orb and Ice Spike for the synergies. It's like 2% extra cold damage. But you'd never use Blizzard, because it doesn't have any utility. There wasn't really a lot of utility in the game. So, it's kind of just a throw up of... I like the skill tree system because it's more rewarding. If it was well designed like Grim Dawn, I think it's very good. I know that a lot of my viewers on Twitch think it's called Grim Yawn, or I call it Grim Yawn just because it's very boring to watch, but I love that game so much. That would be like the spiritual successor of Diablo 2, I'd say. And Titan Quest. I don't know, it's very good. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Diablo. But the big thing about Diablo 2 was the loot. And in the original Diablo, pretty much what you were looking for was rares, I believe. You weren't looking for uniques. And there's a bit of a divide on what people like. In the original Diablo, you would find... So the rarity of items would be gray, which is garbage, white, which is still garbage, it would just be like regular stuff. Blue, which is magic items, and then yellow, which is rares, and I think they had some uniques in the original Diablo. I don't think I actually ever played the original Diablo 2. I might have started with the expansion right away. But the best gear that you could get would be the yellows, because everything would have such high stats. And it would be so varied that you could get pretty much everything that you wanted on a piece of yellow gear. And then once the expansion came out, it would be focused mainly on unique items. So it'd be like legendary items in Diablo 3. They would be named. They would have specific stats with a small, like, random variable mixed in. So it'd be like you'd get bonus skill points on certain skills and whatnot. I prefer it that way because I don't really like the randomness of just getting a random yellow item and being like, oh, this is exactly what I need. I like finding a specific unique item and being like, this is awesome. I want to use this. Look at how cool it is because it has nice art design and everything. I like that more. Doesn't matter. Some people like it the other way. But anyway, the loot system is really fun because it's so addicting. And we're going to get to, that's going to be our main topic. Trying to avoid addiction or, whatever with addiction. How it's a bad thing and you need to be careful with it. But the loot system was just so fun in the sense that you would just grind bosses and you'd have fun. You would grind Mephisto and you'd just do Mephisto runs forever and you'd have fun. You'd do the same content over and over and over again and you'd enjoy yourself because you're constantly waiting for that one item to drop. Say you're looking for like the Grandfather. It's a huge two-handed greatsword. Maybe you wouldn't grind Mephisto for that, but you're in hell mode, you're going through all the stuff, you're grinding Mephisto, and you're just like, come on, something's gonna drop, it's gotta drop eventually. You'd get a unique, you'd be like, oh, that's not it. And there's actually there's a diagram, I believe, of why the Diablo 2 loot system works. Shit, I should probably find that and put that up for you guys. But it was like a certain psychological thing where it was like it showed a monkey, and it was just like it works because you're getting the endorphins from expecting the outcome instead of getting the outcome. So you would like want the grandfather, the great two-handed sword, and since you're already getting the unique items, you're getting endorphins thinking about getting that, like grinding for that item before you even get it. So that's why you enjoyed it. So it was a good design that way. Diablo 3, it's just kind of like no endorphins until you get the item, and then you see that it's a bad roll. That's how it originally was in Diablo 3. You would get the item, you'd be like, sweet, a legendary, and then you'd see that the stats were shit. So you'd be like, okay. So it kind of defeated the endorphin rush after finding an item. So looking for legendaries wasn't the same as in Diablo 2, where you'd just be excited looking for them. So really, really cool loot design. And a fun character system that made it feel like you had your own character that was your very own, even though it was similar to everyone else's. And it was a fun game. You know, I didn't mention the expansion came out about a year afterwards, just less than a year, June 27th, 2001, and the base game came out in 29 of June in 2000. And the expansion added a whole nother act. This is in the golden age of expansions, where the expansions were actually good. And they added a fair amount of content instead of, DLCs where it'd be like, pay $10 for an extra map or some bullshit. So the expansion changed a lot. It added runes. Rune words are definitely a big thing. So you could find runes. You could put them into socketed gear, and that would give you a rune word, which would kind of be like a legendary, but it would give you like specific skills, or it'd give you specific bonuses or whatever. So rune words are really cool. Another way that you could customize your character. What else did it add? It added all the uniques, tons and tons of uniques. It added Act 5, which was quite large, and the extra boss at the end. And the cinematics in Diablo 2 are they're not very good looking anymore, but they're still very cool. Watching Diablo 2 cinematics, just for the story and whatnot, it was always cool. And the cinematics are still great from Blizzard, they always are. But watching the Diablo 2 cinematics and seeing the story unfold was always really awesome. And every time you finished an act and looked forward to a cinematic, you'd be like, yeah, I want to see it. Diablo 3, maybe it's just my nostalgia talking. I don't know. Diablo 3, it was just kind of like, the cinematics look great and whatnot, but it was just like, I've seen it once, I've seen it a million times, I don't know. It's different. So, great systems, really love Diablo 2. But it brings us to our topic of the risk of addiction. And, you'd be like, well, what are you talking about? Addicted to, like games and whatnot? There's no real problem with that. Yes and no. This is going to be very wide, actually. There are so many substances in this century that we can consume that can change our interpretation of reality, that it's pretty astounding. I mean, just think about all the different sorts of drugs. You got marijuana, which is going to probably be, legalized by the entire United States soon enough. And it should be. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I think that people want to do this recreationally. I don't really want to get into too controversial topics here. I'm just trying to talk about the risk of addiction and playing games. But, you have all these substances. You got cigarettes, you got marijuana, you have alcohol, you have games, you have porn. A lot of people are addicted to porn or cigs, or there's just a lot of stuff that people can get addicted to. We have such a control on what we can intake that we can really overload ourselves in our endorphin rushes, and it kind of deadens us because we're so overloaded on everything. And it is a real thing, actually. I think South Park did a thing on this where the devil comes up to, I can't remember the kid's name, Stan or Kyle or something like that. Stan's the dad, isn't it? Fuck. It shows how much I watch South Park. But the devil comes up and he explains that, you have too many, you're taking too much of this and you're actually dead inside because too many endorphin rushes, so you need to do more and more and more and more just so you can get a little bit of endorphin rush. So, and this can happen with games as well. And I think that I actually suffer from it because I really enjoy playing games, but it wasn't like when I was younger, I would come back from school or whatnot, and I would play Diablo because I fucking love that game. And I would play that game only. Or I would play Half-Life 2 only. And I would play that for just spans and spans at a time because I was just enjoying it so much, and I couldn't get, I couldn't get enough of it. Or World of Warcraft, especially. But then once you are just pounding away at it and just constantly intaking a game or whatever sort of substance, alcohol or whatever, you start to put up a sort of immunity to what you're taking in. So for games, for instance, playing it all the time when I was a kid, really enjoying just a single game. Now it's not like that. Now it's like I enjoy getting a new game just to see what it's like for a little bit and then moving on to the new one. It's not like when I was a kid where it'd be like, well, I have 6 games that I can play. I love all of them. And I'm going to play Chaos Island. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that game, dinosaur game. I'm going to play Chaos Island for just spans at a time because I have a specific goal that I want to do. And I can only play for an hour or 2 a day. And that's it. And I wasn't really building up an immunity because I wasn't overloading myself on this. So... Oh, and then, I'm sorry, I'm, trying to keep up with myself here. So, kid, playing single game, enjoying it. Now, just a new game and just enjoying that new game. I don't know how you guys feel, but it would just be like Steam sales. You're buying so many games. It's so easy to get all these games. You're not really just appreciating the sense that, okay, I got one new game. Let's see if it's good. I hope it's great. And, you play through it and you're just like, I love this game, or, I hate this game, but I'm going to play it a lot. It's just kind of like, get a new game, see what's going on with it. Don't really care. Just kind of eh. And then I get this feeling a lot. I haven't recently. I've actually been doing pretty okay, but I'll have, I have my fucking Steam library. It's like 165 games or something like that. And I'll look at it and I'll go, I have nothing to play. I mean, I don't know if you guys get that. I don't really get it anymore because I'm so fucking addicted to Grim Dawn, which is pretty much like Diablo 2. But, I don't know. I just feel like it's just different now. I don't know if it's the fact that I can get my own games, since, I'm a responsible adult, and I can, access pretty much any game that I ever want now, instead of just being at the mercy of my parents and being like, can I get this? No, yes, maybe, blah, blah, blah. So, it's this battle between enjoying this game because, you don't have enough time, you can't get enough of it, you're not overloading yourself on it, and just not enjoying anything because you've done so much. And the same goes for everything. This is why I don't really... Well, that's not exactly why I don't drink or smoke or do any drugs. I don't do those things because I want to have my sense of reality to be as crystal clear as possible. I don't want to have alcohol to go have fun with friends. I've never needed it. I never want to need it to enjoy hanging out with people who are older. This starts coming up in college for the States. Probably not for, well, maybe for European areas. I don't know. But start showing up in college where, people show up and they're just like, hey, you want to go out to a party and drink? And like my first day at college, I was just like, no, I don't. I really don't. I don't want to have to intake a substance that's going to distort my reality just so I can enjoy spending time with you, you lumpy fuck. I think it's an escape from what you have to deal with. You know, there's people who drink to avoid the problems of life. You know, life's fucking rough. It's difficult once you get older. You got to deal with responsibility. You got to deal with things that you don't want to deal with. Especially when you get old. You got to face your mortality. People will drink or take substances just so they can forget about the world for a little bit. I say fuck that. Embrace what you have to deal with. Man the fuck up and face it without having to have just running away behind a veiled illusion of reality. Well, I mean, okay, and you're thinking, what the fuck does this have to do with Diablo 2? Well, you know, I kind of explained it, where it would be like, you know, you're enjoying your game so much, but you're starting to overload on it. And the risk of addiction from, you can get addicted to games as well, honestly. You know, you're playing Diablo 2, let's say you have a college thing due tomorrow, like a writing assignment, and you're grinding Mephisto, you know, a boss, just to get your gear instead of working on your college material. It's a risk. It's not really skewing your sense of reality, but it is still making it so you're avoiding certain tasks, and this I am guilty of. If there's one substance or addiction that I do have, it's games. For sure. You know, I fucking play them for my job, in huge quotations. And making your hobby a job is entirely different. That would probably be a different subject that we can cover later. But, you know, avoiding responsibility by playing all these games and just focusing on making your character better, it's also a risk that you have to be conscious of. You know, you guys playing games, you might be thinking, yeah, it's a game, it's harmless, I'm having a great time, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but, you know, everything in moderation. I'd say that the less that you play, say that you come home and you play a game for like 3 to 4 hours or something like that because you really love it, or you're playing game. The only thing you do is you're playing games and playing games and playing games, like me. Well, try this instead, and maybe you're enjoying yourself and maybe not, but you're gonna enjoy those games even more if you cut back a little bit. You don't have to. I'm just saying, you probably would. You're coming up and you all of a sudden you're going, let's see, I really, really like Counter-Strike Go, CSGO. And I play for 4 hours every day. I'm kind of getting burnt out on it. What else can I play? I don't really like playing anything else. I'll just play some more CSGO, I guess. I don't know, I'm so fucking bored. I don't know what to do. I would say just taking a break, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. 100%. Just take a little break. Come back. Play it again. You might be like, well, wait, what the fuck am I gonna do with my free time? I don't even know. Read a book, I don't know, go outside, fucking do something. Just avoid playing games just for a little bit. Don't make it a daily routine. And then come back in like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, and you play the game, you're like, oh my fucking god, I'm so excited to play this game. It's a very powerful experience. When I went to Europe, I was in Symphony, and I went to Europe just for, what was it, 2 months? I think it was 2 months. So I was in Germany and Italy and whatnot. Couldn't play any games. I don't think I had a mobile system or anything, so I couldn't even, you know, slake my lust with that. No 3DS or DS or anything. So I couldn't play games for 2 months. That's fucking unheard of for me. My god. So finally I come back after 2 months, sit down. What year was that? 2009? 2010? What would I have been playing? Oh, World of Warcraft, definitely. Oh, man. getting back and playing some World of Warcraft. Holy crap, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're finding yourself really burnt out on games, and you're looking at your Steam library of 250 games, and you're just like, what the hell do I play? Don't play anything. Leave it alone. Don't even worry about it for a week or two. Then come back and say, what do I not want to play, right? So I kind of touched on, real world addictions as well as games. Game addiction is it's a thing. I would say it's a thing. I don't know if it's really psychologically proven, but hey, you get endorphins from games. I'm pretty sure you can get addicted to them. But real world addiction, I'm not trying to change anyone's viewpoint here. I'm just expressing my own. But I think that it's a foolish idea to cover yourself up in some sort of substance to distort your reality. I'm not saying don't drink, right? That's not what I'm saying. I will never drink. Okay, I won't say never. Maybe I'll try something, but I'm not gonna just hammer myself for a pastime. I'm not. Let's see, it's Thursday. Time to go out and drink with my buddies. My buddies. Can you hold a conversation with your buddies when you're not drunk? I'm curious. It's just not what I do. But I'm not saying don't drink. It's a thing that you can enjoy. But again, in moderation. We're hammering ourselves with, okay, this is probably more of just a younger generation thing, maybe? Yeah, maybe older, I don't know. But it's just like, let's say you come home and you smoke weed every day. What are you doing? You're pretty much coming home and playing games every day. You're going to get desensitized, which means you're going to have more weed or, whatever. It's just kind of negative to have it be a daily routine. Make it so it's more of a special thing. Same thing with alcohol. I mean, maybe that's why people really enjoy going out just on Thursdays and getting hammered. Oh my god, I've come full circle. I haven't proven anything. I don't know. It's up to you guys, really. It's your addictions. Be careful with them. I'm not going to try to tell you what to do. I'm not your fucking mother. Figure it out on your own. You're all grown men and women, right? Right. Okay, guys. Well, just think critically about what your addictions are and, if you're intaking too much. Overcoming your addiction shows a lot more, height in character or stature in character than just doing the same damn thing over and over again and just being like, well, I always play games, so I'm just going to play games, or I always smoke weed, or I always have a cigarette or whatever. Just cigarettes, on the other hand. Cigarettes are fucking garbage. Don't smoke cigarettes, my god. I'm very astute about that. Don't smoke cigarettes. It's why? Reduces your stress? No. I don't care. Find something else. You're just killing yourself. I mean, if you want to kill yourself, fine. Whatever. No. Okay, anyway. Just think critically, guys. Think about what your addictions are. Think about how you can be in control of your own life, right? Don't be a fucking booze hound. Don't try to run away from what life is. Just deal with it. Everyone else has to. You can be the strong one and actually not hide behind substances. Play a game instead. If you're going to have an addiction, play games instead. That's what I say. Because guess what? You're still having fun, and you're just taking yourself to a different reality, right? You're not distorting this one. You're just removing yourself from it entirely. I guess you could say that if you get yourself drunk. Whatever. I got no arguments here. I'm worthless. All right, anyway. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Next week is going to be... It's going to be the end of January. So, what are we going to do? Yeah. I should be able to get one more in. Okay, then we're not going to worry about that until next week. Okay, quick social media plug before we take off. After you guys critically think and everything. Also critically think about going to my Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube accounts. Although you should be watching this on YouTube, but you can critically think about going there and you can be a patron, get some rewards. You can follow me on Twitter to get updates on when I'm streaming and whatnot. Oh yeah, go to Twitch too. I got a bunch of shit. There'll be links in the description underneath the channel. You guys can go check them out if you're interested at all. Yeah. Hope you guys have a good life, right? And I'll see you next week on the podcast if that's all you tune into. And I'll see you on stream, or I'll see you on YouTube and everything. And until next time, guys, stay safe.